Reece James returns to cut Forest down. I have missed watching Reece James. We've all missed watching Reece James. We've got one of the best players in the world, and we barely ever have him. These injuries, they need to go. They need to go. We need to ban injuries. But we need this guy as available as possible, because in the space of 3 minutes, he comes on 2-1 down, 78th minute. And by the 81st, we're 3-2 up. And that's the impact that he has, and a direct impact with that winning goal, assisting Jackson with a brilliant cross, perfectly weighted first time on the bounce. It's just, what a marvellous player Reece James is. And the thing is, with him being injured, it's not even a case of, oh, we'd be so much better, This is just talking from not just a pure Chelsea fan, but from a football fan's stance. This is one of the best players in the world. This is a right back that's capable of locking up any winger he faces while simultaneously giving you so much threat going forward. He is the complete package, and we barely get to see it. And it's such a shame. This has to be the end of it. That surgery could be a huge pivotal turning point in not only Reece James's career, but Chelsea's trajectory over the next few years. Because despite how amazing Cole Palmer's been this season, Reece James is the best player that Chelsea have. They just don't get to have him enough. I've missed watching him completely, and I'd actually missed Chelsea to a degree this week in terms of watching. We've been a joy to watch the last few weeks since Cucurella started inverting. However, today was not quite that. We were a lot more sloppy. We were a bit sluggish. We were sleepy. We were slow. The first half, the amount of time... How many times did Thiago Silva touch the ball? I felt like I watched Thiago Silva put his heel to the ball. I don't even know how many times in that first half in particular. And they packed the midfield for us, and we couldn't deal with it. We just kept going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Use the width. Give it Madueke. He wasn't in the game. Give it Mudryk. The one occasion we actually managed to was Palmer producing a piece of excellence, a lovely weighted pass to the back line. Mudryk, good run, takes it well, puts it home. 1-0, brilliant start, lads. Good stuff. Keep it up. We didn't really keep it up. We had another moment of magic from Palmer, threading it through to Jackson, who should have scored to make it 2-1, but that first half, it was not good. And something I've repeatedly said we need to hone in on and improve at is set pieces. And not just defending set pieces, defending our own set pieces, because Forest's biggest threat was countering our own corners. That's how they got the free kick for the goal. That's how later Gallagher took a booking from the same thing. We've got Brentford's set piece coach coming in the summer, and that could be a huge piece of business. That could be an amazing acquisition that actually helps us to a huge degree, far maybe more underrated than any transfer will. Because the state of that goal, not only on the break, Badiashile fouls him, but a loopy ball to Willy Bolly and Chris Wood. They're the two players you pick up for Forest, naturally. Maybe Murillo, but those two, they're the first two names you look at and you go, make sure no one leaves them free. So we leave Willy Bolly free and he scores a header. I mean, maybe this is a bit harsh. I do also think a Courtois, a Czech, a keeper we're used to be honest, of the top standard, maybe come out to at least punch that, at least put off the player getting there. Like, it's a loopy cross. There's a lot of time for a keeper to assess that. And I do feel like Petrovic roots to his line a lot. Or he sort of comes forward, hesitates, then goes back. Like that, you need that bravery there that the top keepers have. The traditional keepers, like I said, the Courtois, the Czechs. They're coming for that to a degree. They're putting them off. Second half was much more of the same to a degree, but a decent start to it with Jackson threading Mudryk through. Couldn't make the most of it. Poor cut back to Madueke, a little bit behind him in terms of his pass. But Mudryk had taken his goal well, but aside from that, wasn't really impacting the game. The subs were necessary. We were sleepwalking into that game. Hudson-Odoi had a clipped cross to the back post that Gibbs White hit the post from. Then Hudson-Odoi hit the post himself. And if you follow me on TikTok, you'll know for a long time I've been banging on about players against their old clubs. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's in the water. I don't know if it's in their contract that they get a bigger bonus for scoring against the clubs that they used to play for, but it always seems to happen. It was inevitable that Hudson-Odoi would score today. I even tweeted out, someone said, what's 100% happening in today's game? I said, Hudson-Odoi will score. And lo and behold, he scores. I thought it was a bit poor from Gusto. I know he's just come back from injury, but Reece has shown coming back from injury, you still got to be sharp, you still got to be on it. He lets him come inside very easy. It's a good finish from Hudson-Odoi. I was a bit annoyed he'd give it Rashford. What's all that about? But it didn't matter, Callum. Your goal was redundant. It didn't matter because we had different kinds of Cobham coming on. And do you know what? Cobham fingerprints were over this game, not just in Hudson-Odoi and Reece James, but I actually thought Ola Aina, that was a poor pronunciation. It was very good, to be honest. I've been quite impressed with it whenever I've watched Forest. He does the job, left back, something that maybe we could look at. Maybe not Aina, maybe there are better options out there, but yeah, I've been really impressed with it whenever I watch Forest. And I got to give the credit where it's due to Poch in terms of those substitutions, because it wasn't going right today. It wasn't clicking as it's clicked in recent weeks, and we weren't utilising the width enough when Forest were packing down the middle. We do struggle with the low block, but those subs did change the game. Raheem Sterling grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck, and credit has to be given there because he has been poor, yes, but that's a brilliantly taken goal. Actually, carbon copy of Callum Hudson-Odoi's goal, to be honest. Cutting in from that left, bending it to the far post, great equaliser, and then we go again, and we did go again, and Reece James putting the sprinkling on a lovely win that wasn't a lovely performance. Also, the ball from Caicedo to Reece is brilliant. It's pinged perfectly to perfection, and Reece just said, it's one of those Andy Gray moments. If you're similar age to me or older than me, you'll remember Andy Gray growing up, where he'd be commentating and he'd start doing these fake conversations that players were having. He used to say something along the lines of, Frank gives it to Didier and Didier says, there you go, or some shit like that. And that was that. This was one of those goals that needed Andy Gray just going, Reece just says, there you go, mate, and Nicholas Jackson's got a goal. Like, that was that kind of moment. It was Barkley's, it was Reece James at his best. It was lovely to see, and Jackson jumping in the crowd. We love to see it. Another goal for Bald Jackson. So regardless of the performance, it's another win. We're building some momentum here, and we're getting players back, and we need that going into next season. And to be honest, statistically, teams that end the season well, it does tend to continue quite well. And that's not a bad thing. Whatever happens here with Poch, I know he's making some strange comments. I don't quite know what to make of it. It seems a bit of a back me or sack me stance, and that remains to be seen what happens there. But we are building some momentum. We are ending the season strongly. I mean, you look at like Leicester when they had their great escape and won the league the following year. A clear one for me is when we played Arsenal in 21-22. I was at the game at the Bridge where, well, some of us couldn't go to because we were sanctioned. But I went to that, and Arsenal was starting to really click. I know their top four fell apart at that stage of the season, but you could see something there. And then last season, they did manage to challenge for the title. So it's a good omen in that sense, and it shows what we're capable of. Regardless of tactics today, Poch sort of threw everything. He threw caution to the wind, brought our subs on to win that game, and we did because we had enough individual quality. Like I know we've seen it, but even seeing like Palmer on the same pitch, in terms of how he's developed so far, with Reece, it's like, fuck. We've got some players here, you know, Caicedo's starting to cook. It's exciting, and I'm just looking forward to seeing all of these players play in the future. And Nkunku didn't have quite the impact maybe he'd have wanted, but, you know, your Lavias, get me Wes Fofana back. Levi Colwill was on the bench. That was nice to see. Even Ugochukwu, he was back from injury. Like, it will be great to see all these lads come together as we're coming together. Like, we are starting to click a little bit. Players are starting to understand each other more. And I'm completely here for it. I want to see more and more of that going forward and watching this team grow over the next couple of years. It's not major surgery in the summer. It's a couple of additions, maybe some experience, but it's minor surgery. It's not major. There are a lot of good players here, but they need to avoid having major surgery. We need to avoid the injuries. I don't quite know how to circumnavigate that, but it does feel something that it has to be reduced big time, especially in players like Reece. We need that. Anyway, guys, enjoy your weekends. Enjoy the sun. Up the Chels.